So this is chapter 4, section 5. This is the first unit after your first test. So when writing function rules for verbal descriptions, you should look for keywords. So we have plus, sum, more than, increase by, total, in all, minus, difference, less than, decrease by, fewer than, subtracted by. Those for subtractions. For multiplication, we have times, product of, each factor twice. And for division, is divided by, quotient, rate, ratio, half, a third of. So you would get, for example, you can get stuff like x plus 7. So it's going to be x plus 7. You're going to get stuff like sum. Again, it will be the same thing. For more than, you can say x more than, let's say 7. You would write it as 7 plus x.
Isn't that the same thing as plus?
It is the same thing as plus, or just we rewrite it the opposite. So they flip over for those. Yes. Now for the minus, we would have, let's say, x minus 7. I'm going to do it in a different color. X minus 7. So it would be x minus 7 in that order. Now difference is the same order as minus. If you have x, again, less than 7, it's going to be flipped. So it's going to be 7 minus x. Guys, the order matters, okay? Same for x fewer than 7. This would be the same as x is less than 7. Those are the ones that flip. The standard is minus. But if you have the word than, for example, they usually end up flipping. Now, I'm going to rewrite this just to make sure you guys have it. Order matters.
Yeah, how come you're writing 7 twice? Like the less x is 7 and another 7.
I'm writing it twice because I'm separating it on how you would read it, on how it would be written. Now, words for multiplication, we have times, products of, each factor, and twice. So if we have 7 times x, it would just be 7x. The product of 7 and x, again, it would just be 7x. If we have, let's say, half of x plus 4, just as an example, you would write it as 1/2 times x plus 4. It's going to be a multiplication, even if it is with a fraction. Factors is also multiplication. These are just the most commonly used words for multiplication. All right. Now for the words that mean division, we have, let's say, x divided by 10. That would be x over 10. Or you can write it as x divided by 10. You also have quotient, that means division. Rate, ratio, half, a third of is also all divisions. Now a third of, let's say, x plus 7. A third of that would be 1/3, right? It's going to be a division since you are dividing by 3. You can write it like that as a multiplication, or you can write it like this as a division. Those two things are the same thing, guys. If you notice, in the multiplication you have of, and we put a half of x plus 4. It's the same thing. Instead of this way, we have a third of. I just did x plus 7. So it's the same wording. In that case, those two mix match within each other. You can write it either way as a third parentheses x plus 7 or x plus 7 over 3. Now again, for division and a subtraction, the order matters. That is the one that matters the most. Now for addition, usually it's not going to matter, as you can add either way and you're going to get the same number, either positive or negative. For the subtraction, it does matter, because if you're subtracting the wrong number, then it's not going to be the right answer. For multiplication, again, doesn't really matter, as you can multiply two things and get the same factor no matter what. Like 2 times 3 is 6, but also is 3 times 2. So that won't really matter, as you still get the same answer. For the fractions, it does matter, because let's say you're doing 10 divided by 2, that's going to be 5. But if you do 2 divided by 10, that's going to be 2 over 10. or is it going to simplify to a fifth? 5 and a fifth are completely different numbers. Even though I left it in a fraction form and the 5 is still there, it's still a completely different number. So it is important, order matters. Please keep that in mind for subtraction and division. That is really, really important. All right, so for the problem, we have twice a number n increased by 4 equals m. What is the function rule that represents this sentence? So we separated. We have twice a number n, so that's 2n, sorry. That is multiplication. So the multiplication, so we have the 2n. Then we have increase by 4. Increase is a plus, so increase by 4. Equals is just the equal sign, and then m is just the m. So if we follow that pattern, we're going to get the function that's at the bottom, 2n plus 4 equals m. There's one that you guys don't have. The word is means equal. If it's not equal, you can also write is. It's not up there in the most commonly used words, but I want you guys to have it as well. But going back to it, we have 2n plus 4 equals m. That is the equation. Now they want us to, in the next couple exercises, they want us to write a function rule that represents each sentence. All right, so for number 1, we have t is for more than the product of 7s. So we have 4 is more, so that's going to be a plus, than the product of 7s. Products means multiplication, so it's going to be 7 and s. Now, the fact that it has the word than would usually mean to you flip it. Now, since it's addition, the order here doesn't really matter what you put first. And you could put t equals 7s plus 4, or you can put t equals 4 plus 7s. The order in the addition is a lot easier since it doesn't, the addition, you can add the same thing different ways and it's still fine.
For this one, the order doesn't matter.
We're going to go over the odd ones first, and then we'll go over the evens. All right, so for number 3, we have a fewer than p times 3 equals x. So we have 8 fewer, means minus, times, so it's going to be 3p, and then equals the x. Again, in this case, since it's a subtraction, the word then tells us we have to flip it. So we would write 3p minus 8 is equal to x. For number 5, we have k equals the sum of h and 23. So again, equals, sum means plus. So here's just straightforward. K equals h plus 23. This is probably one of the easiest one you're ever going to get, which is great, honestly. Now, for number 7, we have m equals 5 times and increased by 6. So here we have a few things going on. Since we are told that it's 5 times first and then you increase that by 6, we're going to have the multiplication separate from the other one. So we have m equals 5n plus 6. If they would have wrote it a different way, then we would have had it in a different order. In this case, we read it just as is. There's nothing to flip as the word then is not there. They're not saying different. They're not saying a lot of things that the order matters a lot more. When you have multiplication and addition, the order matters in which one is multiplied with which. Now, it doesn't matter if the multiplication goes first or the addition goes first. For number 9, we have 5 more than, so that means plus. The product is times of 6 and n is 17. So is means equals. So the word then, again, would mean to flip it. The 5 more than the product of 6 and n. So we're going to write 6n plus 5 is equal to 17. Now, because it's addition, and if you write 5 plus 6n is equal to 17, it's also okay. But I do want you to get in the habit of, if the word then is in there, just flip them. That way you're never going to get that wrong when it comes to subtraction as well, or division. So now let's go over the even numbers. We have the ratio of a to 5 equals b. Guys, ratio means division. So, and equals B. So we have the ratio of A over 5 equals B. You can also write it as A divided by 5 equals B. They will both be considered correct. The order matters here, guys. Please remember that. All right, for number 4, we have y equals a half of x plus 10. So is means equal. A half, we know it's going to be a fraction. And they're telling us of, so it's going to be this together, x plus 10. Now, obviously, plus means plus, so I'm just going to write y equals a half, and then x plus 10 in a parentheses form. All right, for C, we have 15 minus twice A equal B. So again, there's a few things going on. Minus is just minus, and since it doesn't have the word then, we don't flip it. And then it says twice A equals B. Now twice is 2, so we're just going to write 15 minus 2A equals B. And that will be how you set it up. All right, let's look at number 8. We have 17 decreased by 3 times D equals C. Decrease means subtraction. So, and it's being subtracted by 3 times D, and then it equals C. It is important that you guys know what to pair together. So we're going to have 17 minus 3D equals C. Once you figure out what you're pairing, and the order is just writing it out as it is, there's not much to it. As long as you go from left to right, you should be fine. For number 10, is D is less than the quotient of B and 4. Again, is means minus, it means equal, sorry. Less is minus, the word then is in there, so that means we're going to flip some things. The quotient and division of B and 14. Now, B and 14 are together, and we're going to flip the 8 and the B and 14. So we're going to write D equals B over 4 minus 8. I prefer to put it as a fraction. Makes it easier for me to see. You guys can write it as D equals B divided by 4 minus 8. Now, the reason I prefer a fraction is because following PEMDAS, when you're going to solve this, you want to start with the fraction, multiplication and division first. And a lot of the times when it has in a fraction form, it's easier to know or to notice the fraction more than anything else.